Our goal this week is to actually talk about Spark of Hope, but who knows what may get in our way.
With the entire set spoiled, we take a look at some of our early favorites.
This is episode 135. The Hope is Real.
You have been well trained.
No.
You don't have to carry a sword to be powerful.
I won't fail you.
Or do not.
I'm not afraid.
Please don't try.
No, oh no!
But just, never mind.
Things fell off the desk. I couldn't save them.
Welcome back to another week of the Chance Cube, everybody. Another week where we can't start a show as if we're professional, because
We've been doing this for almost 3 years, right? Two, 3, I've lost count.
I've been doing it for 3 years starting September.
So 2.5 for me-ish?
Yeah.
2.25? I don't know. I don't know why it's so complicated.
A long time.
Set a computer down, plug things into it, and tell it to go. I don't know why it's so hard.
We've been through a lot together, Kim.
Oh, welcome to my work attire. My apologies. At least there's not pizza on it from dinner. But yeah.
Well, for the 500 or 600 people who are listening via audio, they won't even see, so you're good.
Yeah, you lucky people. How's your week been? Other than not feeling well. Well, you're feeling well now.
I am feeling great.
You were not then.
I was not, and now I am feeling well. My week has been fantastic.
Good.
Work has ramped up because even though I'm not part of Galaxy's Edge opening up over at Hollywood Studios, there are residual effects across the park that are keeping me very, very busy. So,
well, and this is really your busy time of year too, right? With summer. I don't know why everybody flocks to your state of all states this time of year when it's so hot.
The average number of guests is a little higher, but I wouldn't consider this our busy time anymore. I think Disney has done a lot to encourage guests to visit other times of the year between marathons and Halloween and Christmas parties and all the festivals that happen at Epcot. I went to Epcot today and it's like dead over there. It's like,
oh, I bet. I hear they're changing a lot. I saw that they're changing a lot of things over there.
Mm-hmm,
so they're moving your lasting legacy in the front and changing what's it called? Wherever the place where the Beverly drink is being shut down, moved or refurbished. Or something. There's a lot of internet rage about where will I be able to trick my loved one into tasting Beverly, the version of Coke.
You know, I could talk about Disney all day, but I'm sure there's a conflict of interest.
That'd be another show. We could do that on another show.
That's right. Yeah, following the continuing adventures of Jason and Kim, when Star Wars Destiny longer exists, we will.
We'll still just put out a show, like
something.
We'll just ramble about stuff.
Kim, I don't want to spoil it, but did you buy some Star Wars shoes? And you may be adopting a new dog?
Star Wars shoes. So today, and they're almost sold out. So if you, I used to never like Tom shoes, like the brand Tom. I thought they looked weird, and then I bought a pair and I actually really liked them. And so they have a very short, limited time partnership or whatever, Star Wars, and they're releasing several different designs. They kind of look like comic book art almost.
Oh, cool.
So I bought the black ones that have like the Death Star and some TIE fighters. The inside has the Millennium Falcon on it. So I bought those. The other version for women were AT-ATs, I think. But it was a white, light gray shoe. And I was like, yeah, I'm a klutz. It's not going to stay white and light gray. And I'm very pale. So I already have white feet. And I figured you wouldn't be able to tell where the shoe stopped and my foot began. So I got the black ones instead. But they had some really cool slide-on ones that I think had X-Wing. And then there was a character sketch Chewbacca one, but those were lace-up shoes. And there were, the men's, I think, were very similar patterns. And then, sadly, you at least have a kiddo that you could buy these. The kids' shoes, one of the prints were Ewoks.
Mm.
And I was legit trying to figure out if I could fit I have a fairly small foot, but not small enough to fit in a kid's.
Thanks for the sub, Monk. 8 months. Monk has subbed for us.
It's amazing. Monk, I need you to PM me, maybe through Facebook if you think about it. I need you to PM me your address. I have something for you. Anywho's, so
Wow.
that was today that I got an alert on that. And I was like, I don't splurge very often. I'm totally getting a pair of these. So they should be here by the... And so I'll show them on the show once we have them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And yes, we had a meet and greet on Sunday. If I don't know if you follow my page or if you heard us talk on here, we lost our lab back in May. And she was a really awesome dog, and it totally sucks to not have her guarding the door outside she would always guard the door during the podcast. So occasionally her tail would thump on the door and you could probably sometimes hear it. But we had another great dog. Oh no. There we go. The computer went to sleep. We met another great dog this weekend at a local rescue, and she's coming over tomorrow to meet Waffles.
Oh, fun.
That's our corgi. So we're leaning towards possibly naming her something to go along with Waffles. Maybe maple syrup.
Chicken?
Probably not chicken. Although that has come up several times in discussion. So yeah. So if I don't know if she'll wander in. Waffles is too fat to try to show you guys her on camera.
Butter.
And she's very quiet. So I know we thought about Butter too. And she's very quiet, so I couldn't get her to talk so that you could hear her on the podcast. But maybe this other doggy will make an appearance.
Nutella.
Ooh, I do like Nutella because she's like a shepherd mix. So she's black and brown and white.
And then you just have to decide if you're going to shorten it to Newt or Tella.
Newt or Tella. Yeah, because Waff is Waff. Well, she gets called Waff. And she also gets called the Wafflenator. And Waffleito the Frito Bambito, she is also called.
Wow. That's awesome.
We like nicknames here at the Breeze household, in case if you hadn't noticed.
Oh, I had.
So it's been an exciting week. Now that we don't have the plague. Whew, that was rough.
Pancake, Belgian, House, Fluffy, or Iron?
Oh, those are nice. I like Belgian. Not sure if I'm proud of any of those.
Iron.
Pancake was on the short list too, because we thought pancake and waffles would be cute. We also kind of like toast and waffles. Because they call her Sweetie now, and she doesn't care. Like, they call her that, and she's like, yeah, cool, thanks. She doesn't care. But,
that's funny.
So we're pretty excited to add to our little family. Like, that's all we have here are doggos. And the occasional niece and nephew to pop in.
I can't wait to meet him or her.
I'm sad that we can't bring them down to... It's a girl. I'm sad we're not closer. That my fur kids could come meet your adorable...
They probably wouldn't fly very well, would they?
Waffles might. She'd just make friends with everybody on the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Waffles is convinced this is her world and we're all just living in it.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well,
So yeah, there's a draft
news.
on when talk about Star Wars Destiny. There is a draft at my local shop on Friday. I'm gonna try to get to.
Excited. I'm assuming it's Spark of Hope with Allies of Necessity.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be, which means I have to actually pick up some Allies because I realized I thought we bought one and we had bought the starter set. I was digging around going, I was like, I thought and Jim went, no. Well, that's a problem. I'm gonna need that.
Gonna need one of them things.
Just online.
Yeah.
So the store, a lot of times our local store has one to borrow. So if all else fails and they don't have one for sale, there's likely one that I can borrow in the shop to do the draft.
Very cool. We look forward to your report.
I'll try to grab some pictures of the gang and whatnot.
I'm hoping I'll get out
to the interwebs.
Hoping I'll get out to one this week. I don't know if they're going to draft on Saturday or not, but gotta get my first taste. Yeah.
But I gotta work till 5, so I don't think they're starting the draft till like 7.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we missed last week, there's quite a few things to talk about, so let's go ahead and jump into our news.
Wahoo!
Let me take that back, huh? You'll find what you need.
Well, most of the news that is fit to print is actually news from around the community right now, which is actually really great to see there's such activism amongst content creators and people running their local events, their local kind of destination style events that have been going on. I know the Texas Galactic Open is coming out soon. There's been some fundraising events that have gotten some really good traction recently. Just a lot of great stuff out there. If you're not on I don't know how you could be listening to this podcast and not be on the main Destiny Facebook page, but that is definitely the place to get all that information out there. Go check out that Facebook group. Lots of good stuff going. One of the things that's come out recently, we've been through several years of Gen Con. I guess this would be year 3, and Gen Con is generally where they have the Continental Championships. So, or the intent is to bring
something that I can't recall.
Yeah, I think it's the Continental Grand Championship. I think they have the same name as the.
I don't know why it's so complicated to remember the new names.
Because they're not logical.
I think that's
so
the problem.
Complicated.
Sorry, FFG, it just doesn't click in my head.
So we've gone through a couple years where that event has gone relatively silent. Of course, Gen Con is, as Kim often references, the number, the crowd, the sheer volume, the size of Gen Con. It's just too hard to get any sort of. Sorry, it's not too hard.
6,000 people.
It is challenging to get any sort of stream set up in a space like that. I'm sure if the convention internet's probably astronomically expensive.
I can't imagine.
Probably not even with that many people in the same place. Cell signal's probably atrocious.
It wasn't great at Origins, and it had a third of the people, so I can only imagine.
So. Well, this year that's going to change. The group, also known as the Hyperloops, if you haven't followed their stuff, you go check out other hyper competitive content that they have. They have committed to streaming this year. I believe, from what I'm understanding, is that they are streaming to someone off-site who is going to add commentary and then stream it out to Twitch and or YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So
I hadn't realized that.
They're not doing commentary there. They wanted to commit
that probably makes it easier.
Well, it makes it easier.
Because we know from Nova that's a hard setup because you have to have your commentators far enough away from the play area, but then still be able to know what's going on. So either you're running you're running equipment across long areas. So that's probably a lot easier to manage.
Yeah, and that way the entire Hyperloops team can play because they.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is the event that they have won consistently. The first year was, I want to say, Joe Cullen won the first year, and then last year was Andrew Cox. And their team has always placed very well in the top 8. So they're hoping to see another showing this year. Nice. Gen Con is coming up soon, and Spark of Hope will be legal, so it'll be a very quick turnaround for that set. Yeah. For a very competitive event.
For it to be for really that and the Nova Open, it's not a lot of time for that set to. I mean, Nova Open's a little bit later. You get all of August, so you get July and August,
2 months there.
Yeah, for Gen Con, you're going to get about a month and a half ish.
So imagine what we'll see
if you hit the ground running this weekend, you'll have a month and a half ish,
and we'll see that first wave of competitive decks come out of Gen Con. And then everything at Nova will either be reflective of those top decks or answers to those top decks.
Yep, that's what we see.
That's what we saw last year. The year before was, the first year of Nova was just nothing but Rainbow Nines, like till the end of the era.
That's true.
At least last year was interesting because it was basically they were trying to answer to the mill. They were trying to answer Andrew Cox mill deck, which was still very well shown, but that Afra Droid deck came out on top. Piloted by the Arrowbrook Gaming duo. Oh,
yes. Now, speaking of events at Gen Con, and I won't name names because I'm not going to get into that debacle, but someone shared with me just yesterday that there will be a cash money tournament for Destiny at Gen Con run by someone who may or may not have done that in the past. Whether that was successful or not is a different story. So play at your own guidance or risk or whichever word you choose. But I did see that. I'm curious. I'm surprised that it's set up, and I'm curious to see if it fills up.
Moment of silence for that. All right. Moving on. Lots of course, Spark of Hope is the topic of the town right now. For those of you who have our Price Watch app or go to our website, we have.
You should go get it if you don't.
well, thank you. If you have an iPhone, go check it out. We have updated with the Spark of Hope prices. Both Kingwood Hobbies and the Game Haven are pre-selling or selling singles right now, and they've got very equivalent prices. We're going to have an article up in the next couple days talking about these early prices and how we think about them. Mr. Mike Ohio Hill has taken on my challenge to to look at these. Currently the highest priced cards for Spark of Hope are R2D2 and C3PO, which
I don't see that lasting.
I don't either. I was shocked. Thrawn is right behind them, but I mean, how do you price cards before there's a meta, right? You're just kind of shooting in the dark. These are very
which is what I feel like if you're going to buy early or trade early, you need to kind of do that with caution, because the prices will be all over the place this first weekend, because you're essentially paying what someone's willing to pay for that card, not necessarily what it's worth. Right. You're completely running off demand that somebody goes, I just want to go ahead and buy it instead of having to go. So the bottom, it takes about a week or so for those prices to, I would even say maybe 2 weeks, for that to really settle into what that price is likely going to be for a while. That first week or two, it's just all over the place. So take that with a grain of salt. Like, really think about the card and look at how it's going to be in the meta necessarily. I would recommend, before you spend a high dollar amount on cards that, may be worth half that in a week. Unless you really want it and really need it. Because you're paying the higher price because it's the demand of the card.
Yeah.
It's economics, people.
Economics. Go back to social studies in 3rd grade. Supply and demand.
It's supply and demand. Yeah.
So if you've been living under a rock, then you don't know this information, but the entire set has been spoiled. This has happened in the past. There is a vendor out in Canada who has cracked open the boxes, broken street date on them, and
they don't seem to care.
Oh, wait, hold a minute. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sure people are excited to see the cards. That's cool. That's awesome. I've chosen to not look at all the cards spoiled by someone who continuously breaks the rules and gets away with it. There, like I just said it. I am an avid flippin' rule follower. I can't help myself. And so when someone purposely breaks the rules and continues to do so without any sort of impact whatsoever to themselves, it aggravates me a little bit.
What? Aggravation?
And like, if you're happy to see those spoilers, man, that's totally cool, and I'm happy for you. I don't agree with the practice, I guess, is where I'm at with it.
Sure. Well, I mean, we could probably do a whole show on spoiler stuff, but that kind of
we can do a whole show about what makes Kim angry too. So.
Do that. But we are a positive and uplifting channel.
It just irks me. I don't know. So they do what they do. They break street date and they show all the cards, and they don't even take great pictures of it. So I hope the Jacqueline guys can get what they need to upload the TTS.
That's
whatever.
Wow, Kim, I love it. That's great. I guess my frustration with them kind of breaking into it early, and it's been, we've had them almost a week before they open, right? So anybody, if FFG was planning on sending spoilers to any other content creators, that
it doesn't matter.
You've kind of lost that chance.
And that is not, to be clear, I'm not salty about this because of that. That's not I'm salty because I don't think that you should continuously be allowed to break street date. Considering some of the other policies that FFG has put into place for sharing their content with people. I feel like that goes further than what the rest of their stuff allows. It has nothing to do with me being
sure. Yeah. Right. Well,
follow the dang rules. That's all
Yeah, spoiler season is also fun, but I think there's a point where it's like, I mean, you either get spoilers or you don't, and if you don't get them, then you get everybody else's, and it's fine.
And that's fine.
The larger groups that put out a lot of content don't get spoilers for whatever, for one reason or another, and
and I think too, and it goes back to you lose some of the excitement about it if you. Like that first set with Awakenings, other than, was that when it was spoiled in Poland? I don't remember. But they weren't in English, so you couldn't read the cards anyway. But you're losing that excitement of discovering that card for the first time when you break open a pack. And I think that's some of the magic and the beauty of Destiny, is cracking a pack, no idea what's in there, when a new set comes out and going, oh my gosh, check out this card. Like, you lose that bit of excitement from it when somebody goes, here's all the cards. Like,
so for set 9, are you saying that we don't talk about any spoilers until it comes out,
no,
and then we open packs live on the...
Stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a balance to it. Like,
right.
I mean, you want to drum up excitement to be like, oh my gosh, what's in the set? What else could be in here to go with the set? That makes perfect marketing strategy, that you spoil some. But I miss some of the early days with some of the first couple of sets where you didn't know what every single card set was going to be.
Right. Yeah, it was a mystery on day one.
That was just fun. Like, it was just fun.
Sure. I remember. So now that the whole set is out and images are out there, the Garbage Will Do podcast has collected all the images on their Facebook page, so check them out. Give them a like, too. Help grow their content.
It's a lot of work, really, to chase all those.
And I believe they're in numerical order, too, which is impressive. To do that on Facebook album. Jackalman Games has released all their proxies for TTS, so
they do a lot of good work on that.
Congrats to them for keeping up the development of the TTS mods, so that those who want to play can.
And keeping, like, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work that they put into that. And I know it's day one after all they're spoiled, and people are going, hey, are the proxies out there yet? Like, give them a little time. That's a lot of work that's got to go into that. That's not just a flip of a switch. So give Jackalman some support.
That's right.
For making that kind of content available to you free. Like, they're not making any money on that. They're spending their free time to accommodate people to be able to play that. So,
right. Very good. And last but not least, talking about people who are spending a lot of time, your Destiny has already released their review of the entire set.
I will maintain that Claus never sleeps.
It's probably true. But that's probably true. He probably never sleeps.
I think I've teased him about that a couple of times. They're round. I mean, they do a great job. They're on the other side of the pond and a ways over, and yet still cranking out stuff that is posted at a timely fashion, really, for a lot of us to digest.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
He drinks a lot of coffee out of that.
He does. Moving on from that, if you haven't been to our website recently, we've got a host of new authors and bloggers on our page. A lot of good stuff out there. Some great community building pieces. One of our authors is doing a series on other content creators. So I know Monk has been profiled, as well as Dice Commando has recently been profiled from there. So check those pieces out. And on July 4th, in time for Independence Day, Mike Ohio Hill is going to give us some of his early favorite decks from Spark of Hope.
He's a good deck builder. I can vouch for him. And he loves to do fun thematic decks too. So he's always got some good ideas running around in his brain. And
Parker Simpson dropped his Ewok Swarm deck yesterday.
Oh yes, Parker has. I would say you and Parker are the two people I know who love the most in this world. I'm pretty sure. So he's been excited, as has Jason, since we learned that there would be Ewoks. And so he's been thinking about that deck list for a long time. And so he's just been getting more and more cool things to add to it. And then when they when FFG kind of showcased that on that last live stream, I think we got pretty much almost everything that was going to be Ewok related.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like the concept of Max Yubnub.
Yeah,
it's just good. It's good to talk about. I've been corrected that the entire review of the set has not been put out by Your Destiny, but by the time you listen to this podcast, it probably will have been.
There might be. Yeah, and I did see that they were working on it. They do a heck of a good job with that. That's a lot of stuff to digest and analyze.
Worlds tickets have come and gone, so if you haven't gotten your tickets to Worlds, sorry.
It's too late.
I don't...
No, isn't there a second, or did the second sale already happen? There was sale 1. There
was a morning sale and an evening sale to kind of get the different parts of the world, but I think there is a last chance sale, once they kind of go through all their reserved seats and everything.
And then whatever's, yeah. And I think that is after, if I'm remembering the article correctly, and I may not be. I feel like that's after those who have won a seat at World, their time to claim that seat has expired.
Gotcha.
So they only have a window to be able to say, yes, I'm going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's how those other seats shake out. Because did we hear or see somewhere that they'll have space for like 600 players?
600, yeah. They're doing 2 days of day 1A and day 1B or 300 piece.
Yeah,
big tournament.
I feel like that's maybe somebody in the chat. I can't remember when that second wave, but it's relatively soon. The 12th, the 23rd, those are the numbers floating around in my head.
Mike, I'm just going to refer to your Ohio friend as our resident fact checker, and says the second wave actually may still have tickets up for sale currently. So maybe they're not sold out.
That's cool.
Check
but
it
it's
out.
Close.
It's close. All the cool people are going to be there except for us.
Head to Minnesota.
I mean, we may be there. If someone gives me lots and lots of money, I'll fly up there and cover the event. But that's...
It's not close.
I'm not hopeful.
Which makes it hard.
Yeah.
It's not close, which makes it hard.
It's also in October in Minnesota.
Which is not... I'm not driving that one this year. Driving to Minnesota in May, doable. Minnesota, questionable.
All right. And our last update, as you've noticed, our friend Mike Hill from California has not been on the show recently. Work and life has caught up with him a little bit too much, and he has actually decided to step back from the podcast. So we're going to attempt to find a third individual. We're going to start rotating through some of our dear friends and some guests over the next few weeks. And hopefully after Nova, we'll have a permanent third face here, or temporarily permanent third face, or voice. But until then, Mike said he may jump in here and there and give us some other updates from around the gaming world, some other passions he has. So.
Yeah, he'll be at Gen Con. So if you're going to be at Gen Con, you'll still have an opportunity to see him. Checking out some games. He'll still be getting some pictures for us. So he, by no means is Mike Hill going away. He's just still helping us in a way that better fits his schedule. So, and we can, we totally understand that, and he will always be a welcome member of the Chains Cube family. That will never change. So,
and me and Kim are actually
still see and hear from him.
Kim and I are actually getting better at doing this without a third person. So,
well, when the computer works.
Well, there's that. We're hanging there.
Although I guess the lucky thing is when my computer doesn't, you have to wait on me because otherwise you'd just be alone. And if you had that, I don't know, this could be bad for me. If we have somebody start coming on whose computer actually works every Tuesday night, you'll just be like, Kim, we got it, and I'll just be in the chat heckling you because I can't get the dang computer to work.
No, you provide a needed
soapbox comic relief. Yeah,
/
I do what I can.
/ honesty. It's like real. It's like there's a realness to what you provide for us.
Well, if you saw this thing that we take at work that is a personality type, they call them DISC assessments. It's a term out in the industry for whatever. I am someone who's very direct. We learned about ourselves in that thing. So,
is it the four communication styles?
Yes. It's like direct, and it's conscientious. I don't know if that's right. An S and an I. And the eyes are your talker, people person. And sometimes I'm over there. But apparently I land like right between D and C. So you're an analytical thinker and you got to dig into stuff a whole bunch. Yeah, thing that I do. But then you're very direct about your responses. Meaning you don't always sugarcoat things. Wow. I know when to and when not to. I worked in customer service for a long time. So I can be ranting and raving about something and then answer the phone as if
Star Wars Destiny.
Pleasant kind.
Star Wars Destiny.
Moving on. So what else we got? Is that all the news that is to be known?
I mean, we didn't go over the 50,000 cards that were spoiled.
We're not.
We're not doing that.
I'm gonna be very direct and say we're not going to do
We're not going to do that.
Because it is 9:47 and I have to work tomorrow.
That's a true story. I have to work tonight, so that's another story altogether. Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. Of course, if you haven't gotten your tickets to the Nova Open, I believe there are still tickets for the U.S. Grand Championship.
Last I saw, yep.
We are going to be there. We have some Crackjack commentators from the Richmond area coming up.
Yep.
Who are going to commentate, so you won't have to deal with me
such
nor
a nice
Kim.
Group of guys too. There may be some ladies in there as well that I haven't met, but that's a great Destiny.
Yeah. That is awesome. And we'll be there selling not only some Destiny products and singles, but we've got the dice boxes from Faust MFG. If you've never seen them in person, you'll be able to purchase those. And Vindicator Designs is going to be sending us a bunch of their tokens to sell for them on their behalf. So
that'll be nice.
Some stuff you may not be able to see in person typically. You'll be able to check out in person there. And hopefully we'll provide something that we normally don't get at the Nova Open, which is an actual like vendor offerings for Destiny. Like most of all their vendors are geared towards figurines, wargaming.
They're called miniatures.
FFG demo stuff, but you can't buy from them. So otherwise, unless you want card sleeves, like you're not finding much for a Destiny player. So we have to change that.
We picked up Outer Rim. I may have to bring that and have.
Oh please! I'd love to learn
for Peaksies. Yeah. I haven't played it. It just came into the house yesterday, so I haven't even touched it yet. But yeah, so we'll have some of that cool stuff.
I'll have a baby.
It's easy to get to. Yay! I got terrified because a friend flew in and apparently couldn't get her flight out of Reagan Airport back home. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
Right.
She had to drive home. But yeah, so I'm flying in Friday. You're there Thursday, right?
Yes, we're coming out Thursday morning to set up the booth. We'll be streaming all of the events. The only event we're not going to get the only event we're going to get the tail end of is the Infinite Tournament because it overlaps with the end of Swiss, I think. But I think timing-wise, we may get the whole thing. Who knows?
Yeah. Worst case, it depends on the internet connection. So I'm saying I could always try to stream it to Facebook Live, or I have some equipment that we may be able to record it and release. So that's something that we could.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I have the handy cam if we have the right. That cannot currently stream because I can't find a good capture card. Nobody knows anything about that. Email me.
What we should do is videotape a second game. If we have the ability to video a second game where we can release 2 games per round versus to YouTube, it'd be great. Sorry, we just had a business meeting. Continue.
There you go. Kim has cool stuff, but can't work all of it. The motto of the Chains Keep.
Shall we? Let's jump into our topic for the night.
Woohoo!
But you know what I always say: speak softly and drive a big tank.
So we're going to talk about Spark of Hope, which we missed out on last time we were here because we ran out of time because Mike Hill was very interesting.
He is an interesting guy.
Mr.
Mike
Ohio
Hill.
He had
Ohio kids are cool. I'm just saying.
He had a lot to talk about. So now we're going to talk about Spark of Hope, which is here soon, July.
Friday.
We wrote July 7th on.
We have the 7th, but I believe the 5th is the accurate date because we're doing the draft on the 5th, right? On my calendar. Yes, that's Friday.
And of course, this was the shortest time span between release of sets that we've ever experienced in Destiny. So it seems like Convergence never really got a chance to breathe, which is unfortunate.
I would totally agree with that, and I think so too. I really wish that we could just have a consistent timeline.
What? Expectations?
I don't understand why that's so complicated.
I need to flip my image around because your soapbox is backwards, but
I'm sure there are reasons, but I don't understand them.
I want to get an image overlay for the video feed for your soapbox.
That just says Kim's soapbox. You should stand my little head up on one.
Realistic figure of you.
It would be fun.
I think overall, from what we've seen with Spark of Hope, though, is a continued reliance on subtypes. A lot of that going around, especially Leader Jedi, Bounty Hunter, got a big boost with this set.
Oh yeah, big boost.
Apprentice. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff in here that's going to synergize very well with the last set, and we'll probably all be really happy that it's available.
Yeah. Upgrade supports for droids, which is new. Because we previously been doing mods for vehicles, now we have mods for droids.
A lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, which is...
If you're new coming into this is a lot more mind-melding, whelming than Awakening.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Because Kim's going to suffer through what... I picked some random cards to talk about.
You picked a lot of cards.
Yeah, we're not going to go through all of them. Just things that I thought were interesting, whether mostly from a theming perspective, not necessarily from like a meta perspective, or like, wow, that's aggressive or interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to start.
There's a few of those. I agree. There's a few of the cards. I'm looking at what you picked, and we'll get into that. That I've seen topics on, like, woo, that's That's aggressive, or that, exactly.
Yeah.
Those.
So we will start with Dead or Alive. It's a downgrade bounty. I think bounties have gotten a big boost, and maybe a bounty deck wasn't necessarily anywhere competitive or remotely worth doing in the last set. I think that is completely changed, and I would not be surprised if a bounty style deck becomes at least a tier 2 style, able to win your local kind of situation. Dead or Alive is one that's really interesting to me. Play only if you spot it. So you have to have a bounty hunter to play this character, or this downgrade. After attached characters activated, you gain a resource, and after attached characters defeated, you gain a resource. So it really
like that.
allows you to gain an extra resource per round. And you can have
it's
two
only
of these.
Cost to play.
One cost to play.
Really nice.
It pays for itself in the first turn if you play it quick enough, and or your opponent doesn't activate the character. Right? They've got to weigh the option. Do they give you an extra resource by activating the character? And if a character gets multiple activations, which currently there's not a lot of that going around,
but a little, yeah.
But that could be an interesting idea too. So Dead or Alive, you can have 2 copies out on the table, 3 if you are deck building with one of those cards that allows you to do that, such as Double Down. So it's funny because the biggest problem we've had with Destiny recently is resource ramp. Like significant resource ramp has been a problem, and yet and I know they have to react. It takes them a couple sets to react to that kind of stuff, but to see so many other options for kind of gaining your resources, it's like, well, here's a different way of doing it. This was a little steadier, but I don't know.
Yeah, if I had that would absolutely. If I had any, and there's a card that I did see lets you give the title of Bounty Hunter to your characters. I don't remember what it's called. I'll just be honest. There's too many of them floating around. I don't remember what it's called.
I can't remember all the convergence cards at this point.
So I like this is if this is something that you could get in hand and get out, it's gonna generate some resources for you easily. Or it's going to give you control of that, of your opponent's character. Because for some reason, if they're going to choose not to activate that character, those dice are off. Early on, I can't imagine that they would not activate. But later in the game, might give you some control.
I'm also intrigued by Separatist Embargo. So red support for the villains, 1 resource cost to play. After you play the support, name a card, and copies of the named card cannot be played. Which is, I think, one of the first times we've seen such a, we see it sometimes with Thrawn when we're like, name a color or a number or whatever.
Well, and there was, oh boy, I'm digging deep. There was a card that you named an action, right? It was you named an action, or am I confusing myself?
No, you're right. It was
and then you couldn't take that action. That was it was Sabine Dex. Oh Lord.
Yep, someone's in the chat's gonna remind us what that card was.
Yeah, but that's probably the closest thing is that they couldn't resolve a die or they couldn't play an upgrade or
to actually just name something. This is interesting to just name a card.
It was very popular in Dex, yeah.
And I think this is
that's awful. That takes you having a lot of knowledge of the set of deck building. You have to be a fairly skilled player, I think, to get this card to work in your favor. Because you have to have an idea of what cards your opponent's going to have in that deck. So you have to know your deck, and you have to have some idea of their deck.
Running interference. There you go.
Thank you. We all hated that card for a really long time. I don't know. I blocked it from my memory. So this one, while it seems inexpensive at 1 cost, and it seems like, oh, this is great, I can keep that card from getting played. But that card isn't going to be in every person's deck. You have to know what that card is for each deck. Or else
you have to
because you have to know the name of the card.
Armored reinforcement decks are, still pretty popular. Can you imagine, some of them only include 1 copy of 1 vehicle. So if your entire deck hinges around you playing Millennium Falcon and you're facing a Separatist Embargo, you're just done. I think this is a card that's
as long as they know to call that card.
This is going to be a card, if it becomes popular, it's going to mean that you cannot hinge on one card for your deck building anymore.
Yeah.
You can't, like...
I think your skilled players who really do play test against a lot of different decks and know opponents' decks inside and out, this will be a beneficial for them. Mm-hmm. For a casual player, this could prove very difficult to play.
Yeah.
You can't do what I just did and say, that card that doesn't let me do this. No, you...
And then, I mean, you're not allowed to take notes in a game, but, like, you have to remember what card was stated. And
exactly.
So that's, I mean, there's some gray area in terms of, like...
There's some people this card will be great. There's people like me who it will not be great.
Said, did I say easy pickings? I meant vandalize.
Yeah.
No? Yes? No? Okay.
Can I just say you can't play Vader? You could say Vader's Fist. You could say Mega Blaster Troopers if you're still worried about that.
If you're
it
still worried
doesn't
about
say.
that.
It just says copies of named card.
Yeah. Cannot be played.
They're all cards. Just saying. I'm just throwing that out there to be facetious.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I think this is hilarious that they created a card around Luke throwing his lightsaber out.
This made me chuckle when I did see this.
Refusal 1 resource cost downgrade for the heroes. Damage symbols on attached characters' character dice are resource symbols instead. After attached character is dealt damage, discard this downgrade. So you put this
That's one way to slow somebody down. But then you're giving your opponent you could be giving your opponent a lot of resources.
You could be.
It'll slow them down. It'll buy you some time. Mm-hmm. But now they can play any event or any upgrade that they probably want if they roll well.
Yeah. And this would never work, like, for, like, an Afro deck, this would never work because Afro deals indirect damage to themselves all the time. So this card would, like, totally disappear. But to your point, you're going to cripple one of the characters until a damage is dealt, so you got time to deal with the other characters on the table. But all the while that's happening, the resources are growing and growing and growing. And in a support-heavy meta, for the most part. Now, blues don't rely on supports very much. So playing this against a blue deck or a blue-yellow may prove successful.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it has a wide range of utility.
Yeah, I'm seeing in the chat Leia Yoda Mill could like refusal.
Yeah, because it prevents damage and you don't care how many resources the opponent gets. Oh, maybe.
But I do like the thematics of the card are humorous.
Speaking of thematics, thank you so much, Kim, for the segue.
I do what I can.
Lightspeed Assault is perhaps my favorite card from a thematic standpoint. It's wild, it's crazy, it's not competitive enough, and it's not consistent enough because it's got to be you got to be playing a vehicle deck. But defeat
Very
a leader,
situational. Yeah.
Discard a vehicle you control, and discard an opponent's vehicle, and then you deal indirect damage to your opponent equal to the combined cost of the two vehicles.
Which could be a lot. But...
It could be. It could be, especially if your opponent's, armored reinforcement with Millennium Falcon, so that's 6 plus whatever vehicle you bring to the table. You could be doing 10, 11, 12 indirect damage to your opponent. Mm-hmm. But if your opponent's not playing any vehicles, then this is a dead card.
This card's just dead space. And it's going to reopen the argument about Lightspeed Assault. And how you can damage a vehicle in Lightspeed, but how do you travel Lightspeed and not damage anything that you then travel?
Are you getting sci-fi on me?
Yeah.
Science fiction, sci-fi physics? Don't mess with...
Which shouldn't be a thing, because it's...
Star Wars has never cared about physics. It's not Star Trek. Star Trek cares about physics, but Star Wars is not.
That's true. Yeah, Star Trek would have never done this, just for the record.
Speaking of Lightspeed, a hyperspace
jump. I'm not wearing my Spaceball shirt. Anyway, they call it ludicrous speed. It's hilarious. They've gone to plaid. So many missed jokes. Okay.
Next. Remind me after the show to tell you about something related to that.
Okay. This is a tiny picture. What are you doing to me?
Sorry. Jump to Lightspeed is the new hyperspace jump.
It is totally the new hyperspace jump.
3 resources to play.
Resources. Yeah.
Well, so was hyperspace jump.
Oh yeah.
Spot
I didn't play it.
spot a vehicle support to end the action phase, and then set this event aside. So you have to have a vehicle on the table. So hyperspace jump did not require that to happen, and this does not allow you to bring your battlefield to the table. So it's
they learned a couple of things. I'll give them that.
They said we want to reprint hyperspace jump, but better. So we're just going to jump to Lightspeed.
We had a local guy who used hyperspace jump so much I wanted to throw the table.
Was it Mike Ohio Hill?
It was not Mike Ohio Hill, but I bet Mike Ohio Hill. He understood the loophole and he did it. He used to actually, you'll know who it is too, because he used to hang out with the Chance Cube family every now and again. But
yes, I know who you're talking about.
Made me want to throw the table. Man, that card made me angry. I don't see this one being quite as angry because it's not a loop.
It's not a loop. It'll happen once. It's good when it will happen. Now, if someone really wants to end the action phase multiple times, jump to Lightspeed, and then you've got the escape card. There's a couple. There's a couple cards that kind of let you end things early. But we'll see if this gets any sort of popularity.
Kind of makes you roll a great roll, and you're like, all right. And then your opponent jumps to Lightspeed. Somewhat rage-inducing. But
I think we've seen comments on Mysteries of the Force a couple of times. It's a 1-resource cost support for neutral action. Discard the support from play and remove 5 of your dice showing one of each of the following symbols. So you have to remove a melee damage, a shield, a resource, a special, and a blank. And then you can play 3 upgrades from your hand or discard pile for free.
That's a lot happening.
So you have to pay a resource and remove 5 of your dice, and only one of those dice is damaged, but they're all special can be valuable too. And then you get to play 3 upgrades, any of any kind, no color restriction, no cost restriction.
Too bulky. I could be totally wrong, but I'm just thinking. First, I have to get my die, 5 of my die, to hit all of those. Challenge number 1, or I have to manipulate my die to get to those things. I'm removing 5 die, which depending upon when I'm playing this, is still a lot of die to have to take off. Not saying you can't get some powerful stuff out, but you are wiping your play area clean for that round. You are putting yourself behind the... Like, you're basically giving up a turn to pull this off. It is 3 upgrades. I totally get that. And you could get some fabulous stuff out there for free.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there's enough resource generation in these 2 sets that I don't know why you would need to do that. And set yourself behind by removing, basically not playing that.
For sure.
Uh-oh. We're hearing muted. Mike muted.
Don't listen to them.
Yeah, I don't know. Mike heard me, it sounds like, so.
So, Mistress of the Force is such a... it's a card I want to see pulled off, but it is not a card that we're going to see on any sort of level of play.
I just think it's way too convoluted for what you need to do. You got to take a bunch of moves unless you get lucky and roll exactly that. Otherwise, you have to manipulate your dice somehow to get it to that. So you're spending actions, spending resources, or spending events to do that. And then I'm going to just take it all away. I just don't know.
Right. These next 2 cards and last 2 cards we're going to talk about, purely on the fact that they are pulling from random spots in the Star Wars lore, and I love it. One is Professor Huyang. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. I need to go watch the episode.
I was like, I would never thought I'd hear you say those words.
What words?
That you didn't know how to, like, you always know how to pronounce stuff in Star Wars, and I'm the one going,
I gotta go back to these episodes, but the whole idea, this happened in the Clone Wars, the whole idea there is this droid who's been around forever who helps younglings assemble their first lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
So that's why he's here. Blue droids are rare. R2-D2 is the only one, I believe, at the current time. I mean, nothing really terribly exciting about him. After you play a blue upgrade on an apprentice, you may activate the support. Then if that upgrade is also a weapon, you may roll its die into its pool. And then He's got a melee, 2 focus, 1 shield, 2 shields, and 2 resources. 3 resources to play. I feel like he's a little expensive, but he has no blanks, and all his sides are pretty good.
No blanks is nice.
Mm-hmm. And
he's unique, so you can only get one of them out on the table at a time. But...
And I think having a no blank rare card is pretty good.
Yeah, and those are all nice. I mean, those are all nice sides.
Mm-hmm. I feel a little bad paying 3 resources for a die that has 2 1 melees on it, but it kind of all sets with the 2 resources and 2 focus. I like that. I don't.
Yeah,
think
so
we'll
it could potentially pay for itself pretty quick.
You're going to be playing him in a deck where you have an apprentice character, so either the Jedi Youngling or an Ahsoka variation. I believe the only 2 apprentices right now. I could be wrong. Jedi Apprentice. Is that? I'm assuming Jedi Apprentice has a Apprentice subtype, but I'm not even sure that's.
Yeah, if you're playing Infinite, then you're looking at Padawan again. Well, no.
Did Padawan get retconned with a?
That's what I can't remember. I'm not even going to up, but my guess would be yes, but I could be wrong.
And last but not least, from the comics and the Dr. Aphra lore, the 000 Protocol Matrix. It's a 1 resource upgrade mod for your droids. So it's basically 1 resources to give a droid the ability to do damage. So he's got
a villains only card, but
yeah, villains only. But... 3 sides have 1 melee, and 2 sides have 2 melee for $1, and then a blank. So the whole idea that you can basically you're taking the programming chip of a psychotic droid, install it in any droid that you'd like.
I like that.
It's pretty funny. I don't know. Competitive? Nah, probably not. Maybe in an Afro build
for a one cost,
something.
maybe Yeah, it depends on what the build is. Like you're not gonna just put that on any old droid, I think. But for a 1 cost, that's getting you some damage side.
And remember, so this is kind of where it gets weird, right? Because there are droid characters and there are droid supports. This mod upgrade can be placed on either one. So it could go on IG-88 just as much as it could go on 000.
That's kind of cool.
So it's got some utility there, which is kind of nice. And I can see it can be used in multiple different ways. And like you said, 1 resource cost upgrade, pretty solid.
You can always, especially if you're putting it on your character droid, you put a 1 cost down and then it lets you override to it. You can play a 3 cost for 2. The override would be nice at some point.
Yeah. So those are just a smattering. Like I was going through the cards, I was like, these are the ones that I think
those are some good ones. Yeah.
I don't think any of them are going to be terribly seeing a whole lot of play. Maybe Dead or Alive and Separatist Embargo we'll see more often. To Mike Hill's point, Refusal seems like a good mill card. It helps prevent damage consistently, especially since mill decks never do damage. So if you can refusal both characters in a 2-wide, like they can't do damage to you. Ever.
And then you can just take all their stuff out. And then no matter how many resources they have, if you've got cards, it does.
Yeah. So they'll have to do damage with supports or upgrades, which is takes some time to ramp.
Slow.
Now,
yeah.
It's slower, but if you're making resources off your character die, then maybe it's not so slow. I don't know. And of course, Refusal has also brought in the age-old question about Luke's dice. But that's another story for another day. So let's move on and talk about our answers to our question, which is kind of funny that the timeline of us actually going over.
True.
There can be no mistakes this time.
So a couple weeks ago, due to the plague, we asked you, who do you think will be the next big character spoiled from Spark of Hope?
Well, we know them all now. Who was
now
right?
We know them all. Yeah. So Matthew Grubb had mentioned Akbar, which would be fun to see. I'd be okay with that. He could be a leader easily. That would be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. He wanted Akbar to have mad focus or disrupts passive deploy squadron upon activation and power action resolve any number of with built-in target acquired.
At least that's what he dreams of at night.
That's funny.
That's pretty beefy. Now he did at least cost him at 18 and 21, so I'll give him that.
There you go. He's a beefy Akbar. Mr. Hill from Ohio says, "I'm telling you, eventually we're going to get a Clone Wars Anakin," which I believe he said on the show.
I think we will too. It's coming. I don't think it's. Well, pretty sure it didn't get spoiled. I did see Chopper spoiled, or was that somebody?
Yes. No, you're right. Chopper was spoiled. I was very excited
because honestly, the way that it looked, like the specific photo of it, I was like, I couldn't completely tell, and especially with the dialogue that I saw happen. I just saw it real quick one day when I was not working and looking on Facebook. Now I was like, was that really in there, or did somebody make that? Because I couldn't. It was
There was a previous version of Chopper, wasn't there? But it wasn't any good? Or am I making that up?
No, I don't think we've ever had Chopper as a character. I don't think we have Chopper as anything. His image has been on
he was a support. I don't know.
But I don't think we've had him.
And if we did, he was so horrible, no one noted about it.
Let's see. Chris Stevenson said, is that Bodhi? Am I saying that?
Bodhi Rook, yeah. I would like to see Bodhi on a card. He'd be useless, but I'd like to see him. I'd like to see more Rogue One representation. That'd be nice.
Oh, yeah.
Tristan wants Mara Jade.
He'd be a good character.
Tristan
of course,
wants
we have
Mara
to bring
Jade.
her into canon before we can even... That would canonize her. That would be the easy way Disney do it.
Put her in a card game? Yeah. Disney won't take that into consideration.
Chewie to fit with the new Han, but we have Chewie, right? Don't we have a new Chewie?
We got one in Convergence, yeah.
We don't have an older Chewie, but he ages so gracefully.
Billy Fellon, speaking of people from Richmond who are going to commentate for us, says Kanan 2. So
we're due for another Kanan. I feel like we're due for another Kanan.
We didn't get a Kanan, right? We got Kanan's picture was on an event or two, but no.
Yeah. Because I remember I saw the image of the event, but I don't know what the event.
Yeah.
And then Joshua Gardner mentioned a Poe, which I think we're about due for another Poe too.
We got one in the right. It was Poe in the second set, and then we got Poe in the two-player set. Yeah, with the two-player set. Yeah. And then
no Poe.
We haven't gotten another one since then.
Poe.
He's still standard though, so maybe once then. Boy, can you imagine? We're like, I mean, after the next set releases, we're going to be talking about rotation again.
Hi.
We're going to talk about rotation every year. Crazy. That's wild.
What a world.
What a world. Spending the money and then it's no longer useful. I mean, what?
Yes.
Yay, CCGs.
Exactly. Take my monies. If you ever watch, is it Parks and Rec? Money. There's a character on there, I think. Yes. And I can't think of his name. I need to go back and rewatch Parks and Rec. There's a very funny character who he and his sister are constantly begging their parents. It's very funny. And people listening will go, oh yeah, I know who that is. And other people go, Kim is saying. And both those answers are correct.
Thank you, everyone who's watching this show live. If you're watching us on Twitch, please follow and subscribe. Amazon Prime users, it is free to subscribe to one channel per month. It does help us out. You have no idea how much that helps us keep this rolling. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the notification icon. We'll release all of our videos from the Nova Open there. Someday I'll do more than just this podcast, but who knows? I'd love to do more.
When life gives me more time, you know?
Life gives you time.
Thank you.
Make
Master
lemonade.
Scott.
What, he says you're right or crazy?
John Ralphio is the character's name in Parks and Rec.
If you're listening to us via audio, please give us a review on your favorite podcast app. Thank you to Matthew Scott for keeping us sane, fact-checking us, posting everything to Facebook, and generally making us look way better than we actually are.
Yeah.
Thank you to all our patrons out there. Please check out patreon.com/thechanccube. We do send out gifts at the $5 and $15 level, but at the $1 level, you can come hang out with us in that Chance Cube Hangout, our private Facebook group, where you get to hang out with us and find out where we're going to be, when we're going to be places, and what new things are coming to the Chance Cube before everybody else finds out. And last but not least, if you're an iOS user on iPhones or iPads, please check out the App Store, the Price Watch. The Chance Cube Price Watch, I think, is the official title. It is a slightly pricier app than you're used to. It is a one-time fee of a pack of cards, not actually physically a pack of cards, but the equivalent price of a pack of cards. And that money helps keep this channel alive, pay for our hosting fees, and the fees that it costs us to live stream at events, which can sometimes be astronomical.
No cheapy.
So, thank you, and hopefully we'll be seeing y'all next week.
And good night.
Head over to our Facebook page. Pinned to the top is this week's question: what are you most excited about Spark of Hope? We're leaving it open-ended. We want to hear what your thoughts are, and we will see you all next week after the set releases.
Yeah, happy open packing scores. I don't know. Good luck with your polls. That's what I'm going for.
And for y'all, all of y'all stateside, happy 4th of July.
Yeah.
This has been The Chance Cube, a Star Wars Destiny podcast, a non-profit organization dedicated to building community through gaming. Visit our website for all things Star Wars Destiny, including our price watch, meta tracker, and latest articles from the Chance Cube family. Find our latest videos on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and visit us at patreon.com/thechancecube. Your patronage allows us to grow this program and help us give back to the gaming community by sponsoring events, giveaways, and supporting our own community building initiatives. This is Mike Hill, the voice of the Chance Cube. Thanks for listening. The Chance Cube is not affiliated with Fantasy Flight Games, Lucasfilms, or the Walt Disney Company.